about last week. Does anybody want to give me a kind of give me an update as to what they took away from last week's call? Especially, for that matter, anybody. I'd like to hear some feedback.
I'll go. This is Brendan.
Hey, Brendan.
The three things that you talked about. Can you click that off? Hang on, we're getting his computer turned off because he's picking up on both speaker phones.
Got it.
Okay, there you go, Brendan. Okay. The three things that you talked about. What makes me different? What makes me referable as far as being a consultant, being a negotiator, and being the manager of peers and setting expectations. I thought that was very, very powerful.
Awesome. And let me reiterate this to you guys. We face an uphill battle every time our clients come into our office. Every time we pick up the phone, we face an uphill battle because what the consumer gets bombarded with every single day is what, Dave? What does the consumer get beat into their head at every given moment of every given day as soon as they make a decision to buy a house?
Rate. Nothing about service or relationship. Rocket mortgage. Call here, online now.
So really what has happened is our industry has really commoditized us. The advent of the internet makes the consumer extremely knowledgeable, but only knowledgeable in a very select group of details. Everyone on this call, and maybe not everybody, but most of us on this call understand that there is a significant amount of amount of things that go into a mortgage process than most consumers can ever really conceptualize. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
How many signatures are there in an application? How many signatures do you think a client, one consumer, has to sign from A to Z to buy a house?
50.
Oh, at least. I counted years ago and it was 78.
Jeez.
How many pages of documents do you think a consumer has to read through in the transaction? Hundreds, right?
Yes.
How many people do you think touch a file from womb to tomb? Appraisers, title companies, home inspectors, listing agents, sellers, buyers agents, brokers, secretaries, administrative assistants, loan partners, loan officers. There's quite a number of people that touch the file, isn't there?
Absolutely.
So when we sit down in front of our clients and we understand that our client has a plethora of choices to make, why is it that you think our clients choose us? Truly, I mean, I know we talk about being a consultant and all that, but what is it at the core that our clients use to determine that Dave or Ryan is the right choice?
Our referral partners, whether they be a realtor or a past client or a current client, have already set the stage. And I think that in itself has done much greater job of anything that I can say in my initial first 3 meetings with that client. They've heard it from a third party.
Right. So what is it that happens to a consumer when they get that endorsement?
There's a level of trust that's already there.
It's a connection, right? They finally believe that you believe what they believe. So, I don't know if I shared you this story or not yet, and Dave, I don't know if I told you this one either, but so last summer I decided to build a set of landscaping steps in my backyard, and I've got about a 45-degree slope that's, probably 10 steps, maybe 12 steps tall, and I needed to build these steps to go out to the backyard of my house. And so I've never done it before. So I walked into Home Depot because it happens to be the closest, but I could have gone to Menards, I could have gone to Northville Lumber, I could have gone anywhere. I went to Lowe's. You know how you meet those people who greet you, who you typically just kind of don't make eye contact with, or you try to avoid at all possibility because they're the greeters at the store? At least that's how it is for me most of the time. They're always, their job is to simply greet you, which is no big deal, but I always feel like I'm in such a rush But that day, for whatever reason, I walked in and I was open. I wanted to receive some guidance. So I asked the gentleman, I said, I need to build some landscaping steps. Can I get some help? And the guy literally looked at me and goes, it's your lucky day. I did landscaping for 28 years. Come on, let me show you. I mean, right, score, big time, right? I landed in a situation at a Home Depot where the person who's helping me did this for 25 years. What do you think my mindset is at that point?
You have a sense of ease, comfort.
Oh, why do you think I have a sense of ease and comfort?
Because you're speaking with an expert in his field.
Do you think the way he communicated his value to me was unclear or unconfident? Hey, somebody's typing right now and it's weirdly loud. So if you're typing, just put your phone on mute. It'd be really helpful.
That was me, sorry.
Oh, no sweat, buddy. It's right by a speaker or something. It's really loud. So what ends up happening is I end up going through Home Depot with this gentleman. His name is Sam. And then an hour and a half later, I walk out of Home Depot with all the materials, a sketch on a piece of paper about the rise and fall of the staircase and all that stuff. And I go home and I put this together. It worked. I'd never done anything like that before, but it worked. I followed what he told me to do, and it worked. I sat down and realized at that moment I didn't challenge him on one of his materials. I didn't question the price of a single thing that he put onto my cart. I didn't question him on anything as it related to the design, because he communicated to me that he'd done it for years. He knew what he was doing in it, and throughout the entire hour and a half that I was at Home Depot gathering the supplies, he engaged with me and talked to me and helped me out. Could I have shopped around and got the lumber cheaper or the materials cheaper? Probably. But the message to me was extremely clear. I bought into somebody because they believed that I was the best choice. They believed that they were the best choice to help me out get to where I wanted to go. Now, Ryan and Dave, you guys don't necessarily have that problem. The difference is that as you hand the baton off to the next layer, to the next generation of loan officers and originators, we have to develop that level of confidence that what we have is pretty special. And it doesn't always revolve around rates and fees. More often than not, our consumers, and I know Dave and Ryan, you guys can attest to this, more often than not, you guys are acutely aware that there are lending institutions in your area that can probably offer up a cheaper interest rate, isn't there?
So,
Like Dave, you've got Ruoff. Does Ruoff offer better rates or cheaper rates than? Do they offer better rates than you?
Yes, sir.
It's sick to your. It makes you sick to your stomach, right?
A lot of times, yep.
And Ryan, I have to imagine you compete against companies like Guaranteed Rate and some of those other shops down in your area.
yes, they're a dime a dozen down here.
They are a dime a dozen. So it begs the question, how are we able to carve out our fair share of the marketplace? It was something that I never fully understood until later in my career. And I began to really realize that consumers are very easily educated if you take the time to show them the truth. Most of what Rocket Mortgage and some of those other ads and what people get on Facebook, and as soon as you start perusing the internet, what you start to get, what you start to get lambasted with, most of those are really the commodity of our business. The hard part is that when we start to communicate to our clients, we tend to fall into that trap, don't we? We tend to only communicate about the commodities of our business because that's what we believe our value is. The hard part is that when you get to a point where Dave and Ryan are at, you begin to realize that what consumers don't know, they don't even know they don't know. So when we take hold of our clients and they become our, part of our business, we have a very, very high responsibility to make sure that we act as if we are the consultants. We need to convey the truth and the realities about what this business is and isn't. And the fear that comes over us sometimes is because we believe that the consumer expects perfection, or the consumer expects roses and candies throughout the entire process. But I'm telling you right now, every consumer that I had the conversation with that told them that they were going to hate me appreciated that statement more than they appreciated me never saying it to them. Have you guys ever had that conversation where you literally pull out the challenge that this business offers and use it to help manage your client's expectations, or to set the stage for what the reality really is all about? Dave, Ryan, do you guys do that on a consistent basis?
I do, but I don't think to the extent that you're talking, because we've had that conversation. So I don't lay it out like it's going to be as difficult as what you shared that you have in the past.
Right.
In your one-on-ones.
Right. And this is why I want you guys on the call with your loan partners, because I believe that moving forward, your loan partners need to be the manager of these expectations. I don't necessarily think, Dave and Ryan, you have to be the ones that have these conversations anymore, especially if your clients are the ones that are interacting with your team more than they interact with you. And so what I want to get clear on is, if we agree that our unique selling proposition is our ability to articulate our value. I'm still getting a lot of feedback, guys. I'm sorry. Somebody's microphone is right next to something. Is that because you guys are on a phone, or is that because you guys are on a computer?
I think it was a computer, so we've turned that off. So is it any better now?
Yeah, well, I mean, the clarity it's actually almost too good. The clarity is really clear. So every time you guys move your finger across the desk, it makes a noise. So no big deal. I want to make sure if the replay is available, or when I make the replay available, that it's that it's clear for them. So what I wanted to make sure, what I'm trying to convey is, if we really want to create a differentiation factor for us, it really falls into the role of the consumer has an option to go to multiple different places, but we all agree that our number 1, 2, and 3 responsibilities to our clients is to be the consultant, to negotiate, and to be the manager of their fears and expectations. Then it starts with the initial phone call that our loan partners have with our clients. It's up to us as the owners of the business to make sure we set that stage when we can, but it's also important for us to make sure we hold our team accountable, because every chance that we miss to set these expectations properly or to be that consultant, we run the risk of not gaining that opportunity to ask for a referral. Ryan, I know for a fact that you've become infinitely more comfortable asking your clients during the process for a referral, haven't you?
Yes, it's funny you should mention that, Doug. We were just, Susan's actually taken over the lead tracker, but we were looking at that today. We have 18 leads, and it's the 14th. And over a third of those are current client or past client referrals. Whereas when we started the lead tracker, it was, I don't know, 90 to 100% realtor based. So the pillars are definitely starting to be a little more even now.
Right, they're starting to get defined, right?
Yes.
But it goes back to creating those referable moments that allow you to ask. Consumers and realtors alike are more susceptible to the request of referring you when they feel compelled to, after you've done something for them. So every time you hear the word thank you for noticing. But what it means is that when we pick up the telephone, we need to be clear about what our consumer is expecting of us. The consumer isn't expecting us to be anything more than a rate and fee, more often than not, depending on how we set the stage. So it's up to Dave and Ryan and to us to help educate them and to help convince them that the process isn't as simple as the internet and as the media would like you to believe it is. Rocket Mortgage is the perfect example of what many people fall prey to. I don't know a single client that I've ever talked to that had a successful closing through Rocket Mortgage. And I know they close them, but it's been my experience that more often than not, the Rocket Mortgage ends up blowing up in their faces. Has anybody had a successful closing that they know of with a client that went through Quicken and did the Rocket Mortgage?
No, I don't know if anyone had a successful closing with Quicken in general, Rocket and prior.
Okay.
Correct.
What about you, Dave?
Correct. Same here.
Okay, so what we have is we have a lot of press coverage over something that I've never experienced to be successful, and you guys haven't experienced either. So our consumer, when they get referred to us, are coming to us on the heels of somebody else's reputation. And when we pick up the phone and we talk to our clients, we owe them the highest amount of consultative value as possible. And one of the reasons why I always felt like I needed to tell them that they were going to hate me was because I wanted to protect the relationship that I had established with the referral source and that I was establishing with them. If we go back to the consumer doesn't know what they don't know, there's a lot of things that our consumers, our audience, let's just say our audience, tend to believe that we are. And how many times have we taken a loan application, got halfway through the process, and that our clients start to shop us against rates that are in the marketplace? I talked to a loan officer in Atlanta yesterday. She lost 9 transactions in 1 week to the tune of almost $3 million. 9 for rate shoppers, 8 to a quarter on most of them. She confessed something to me, and it was she's going out there and talking to 100 realtors a week and getting as many leads as she can possibly get in. What do you think is starting to happen with that business model?
Becoming very transactional.
It's very transactional. It means that her team is not articulating their value. They're not spending the time to engage with the client and really create a value proposition. Consumers, when they ask you what your rate is or what your fee is, that's not really the question they're asking. What they're really asking is, why should I use you? And I think our loan partners are responsible to help convey that in a very clear and concise way by being a consultant, just like Ryan and Dave. So one of the things that I want to work on with you guys is realizing that when you pick up the phone and talk to the consumer, your job before you start talking about mortgages or anything is really helping them to understand what your business model is all about. See, I don't know if Ryan and Dave talk to every single client that walks through the door. But in my belief, when I was in that role, I didn't take it for granted because I, A, wanted to practice that presentation, but B, it was always helpful to say it a second time because it really creates a consistency through the team. So every time that I got a chance to talk to a client that my business partner, Jim, at the time, told me that I needed to call, I always started the conversation off by going, "Hi, my name is Doug Catteray. I'm a loan partner to Jim Athens, and I don't know if he told you or not, but my #1 goal is to have you be so thrilled with our process that you refer us to somebody you care about." And the response that I got was either, "No, he never told me that," which gave me what I needed to say, or he said, "Yeah, he mentioned that," which then gave me another approach that I could say. But too often when we fall into the role of just being a loan partner or a task doer because we always have a list of things to get done, we fail to realize that our clients are in front of us because somebody else told them how great of a job we do. And they're there in front of us at that moment because they trust us. but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be solicited throughout the process by multiple avenues. Internet, other people at work, everybody that they talk to, they're all going to quote unquote know somebody. So what is it that we say to our audience that makes us different? And it starts with the very first phone call that you have. When the loan partner picks up the phone and you introduce yourself for the first time, more often than not, you're calling to introduce yourself because there's something that you're going to need. Is that a fair statement? You call them up because you're going to introduce yourself, and it usually it's followed up with, and Dave wanted me to follow up with you to get so and so and so or such and such. Is that a fair guess?
Mm-hmm.
So, Dave, Ryan, do you want your loan partners to act like a consultant to the client, not so much to advise them on what you guys have either discussed or not discussed, but to really fulfill the role of answering that question from the moment they talk to them through the end of the transaction of why they're working with you? Do you believe that's the role of the loan partner here?
Yes, it's definitely a big portion of it.
Okay. Why do you think it's necessary? Why do you believe that she is the one that should handle that for you and not you?
Well, as my role diminishes in the actual loan process itself, the only way that the CCRs and PCRs will continue is that she takes over that role for me.
Okay. So really what you're getting is you're given the keys to the process of creating that pillar of current client referrals and past client referrals.
Yes, yeah, because Susan's in charge of taking the loan process from lead to contract. So that is when you would utilize, most of those referable moments.
Right. Is everybody clear that the most opportune time to get a referral from a current client is during the process? Does everybody agree with that, or do they think it happens after?
No, I've seen it all too well now. It's definitely during the process.
What about you, Dave?
You will get them after time to times, but it's mostly during.
Sure. What about you, Dave?
I'm back. Can you ask the question again? I disconnected us and had to just dial back in.
Oh, no worries. If you were to guess, where do you think your clients are more likely to refer you during the process or after the process?
I think during, because they're the most excited. If you ask.
Bingo. Yep.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
that's the key. I mean,
but
that's the key. But I think, when you ask them, and Brendan's been here, for a week, and when we've asked in an appointment, it's interesting. We've shaken loose in the last couple of days 2 different people saying, "Hey, my sister is going to be buying a house in a few months as well." Hey, do you feel like I've taken good care of you? Absolutely. Are you happy? Absolutely. Would you be willing to tell your sister and endorse me? Absolutely. And so it's it's back to asking. So
it goes back to when you guys are at the top of their mind, and you guys are at the top of their mind from the point they meet you, from the first moment until the closing happens. That's when you guys are the most relevant. So if Susan and Brennan's responsibility is to capture as many of those referral situations as possible, you guys are going to be exposed to more referable situations than either Dave or Ryan combined. Because if you take a look at every time you pick up the phone and you have a conversation with a client or a realtor, you have a choice to make. You can choose to just do your job, which is to fulfill the obligation of the responsibilities, or you can look at the purpose of why you're calling, and that really is to orchestrate a referable moment so that you can ask them for the for an endorsement or to refer you to somebody that they care about. And the power in this is that nobody does it. Nobody does it. And the reason nobody does it It's because nobody understands the value they bring. Nobody pays attention to the thank yous that they get. Nobody recognizes the deposits that we make in our client and our realtor's life every single day. It's not perfect, but we do a very great job at delivering on the expectations that our clients have of us. More so than any of our other competition, because we are more capable. We are better consultants. We have the mindset. We believe that our clients are in the best hands possible. But the disconnect happens is that when we hand the reins over to our businesses, to other team members, a lot of what we do gets lost in translation unless our team, Brendan and Susan, you guys become very aware that your role in this is very, very, very monumental. Every conversation that you have, whether you choose to or not, can be created to be a referable moment. And if the stage is set in the beginning, when you pick up the phone and introduce yourself and say, I don't know if Dave or I don't know if Ryan told you, but we operate in this thing called a triangle of trust process. We operate in a referral-based mentality. We believe in amplifying relationships. What that means to you, Mr. Client, is that if I'm calling you up needing something, trust me, I don't want to have to make you do more than what's necessary, because at the end of this, we want you to be a raving fan of ours. And while we go through the process, I want to be able to help you get to where you want to go with the least amount of stress. And by doing that, we are confident, Dave and I, or Ryan and I, are extremely confident that you'll be compelled to want to refer us to somebody you care about. And to me, that's the #1 goal that I have every time I pick up the phone with you. Every time I communicate with you, I'm looking for a chance to make your day better. So if I'm calling you looking for something, I'm fully aware at some point you're going to hate us, because this is a very difficult process. As I'm sure Dave has told you and your agent has told you or Ryan has told you, buying a home is not easy, but we are a very, very experienced group of consultants. And through this process, our job is to help educate you and make you thrilled. So that's kind of my role in this. I'm going to be kind of taking the wheel here for the ride from where we start today until the closing. And my job is to build a very deep and meaningful relationship with you through this process so that you feel compelled to want to refer us, because that's how we're able to provide you such great level of service and such great consulting and such great, honest, open, and accurate information. It's because we know people like you are out there telling people that they care about us. Is that fair?
Yes.
How is that different than the conversations that you guys have been having thus far?
Very different. I'm taking a lot of notes.
Why is it different, Susan?
Because I'm very transactional in what I do. I pick up the phone and say, get your name, your address. I need to build the relationship first.
It is important to understand that the relationship is why your clients aren't going to other entities. Say that for me again. Can you repeat what I said?
The relationship is why our clients are not going to other entities.
Dave, Ryan, would you guys agree with that?
Very much so.
100%.
Your meanings. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry, brother.
I just wanted to kind of expound upon what you were talking about in the beginning, asking us, what's the difference between, or what does, the commoditization of our industry, and I think you started to go there but didn't really expand on it enough. once they get in here, there are fears, anxiety, stress. Even if you've done it several times, maybe it's not stress or anxiety, but it's a stress and anxiety because it's just kind of a pain in the ass, so to speak. Just getting all your information, they know they're going to be approved. So I think when they meet with us, we instill in them a confidence that we got this. We got your back. Everything's going to be good. We're going to smooth out the bumps, and we're going to, so that's what they buy into, is they walk out of here with a, thank you, and that's the confidence that, I know Ryan gives, that, I don't have to go shop because this guy's got it. He's going to take care of it for me.
Right. And then you take it one step farther. We can choose to convey that we've got it, or we can choose to say, we got it, but I need you to understand this is it's a lot like flying in an airplane. There's going to be turbulence. But just like a pilot, I've never crashed an airplane. But I will promise you that when we're about to experience turbulence, I will get on the phone, or I will pick up I will pick up the phone and have a conversation with you, prepare you for what's going to happen. See, it's one thing to tell them you got it, because I think a lot of people use that as just, candies and roses, just to kind of smooth it over because they don't want to give the client a reason not to use us. But it's the complete opposite effect that we're having. We're not giving our clients a good enough reason to stay with us. I'm not saying that happens to you guys all the time, but this conversation with Azello yesterday made me realize that what the business model that she's lacking is she's not giving her clients a strong enough and compelling reason to stay with them, because they're attracted to a cheaper interest rate. They're attracted to an 1/8%, which is not that, that's $7-10 in the payment. And there are people that you will lose to that, and there's nothing you can do about it. But as a whole, back to Susan's conversation, if you're very transactional, then that's what the client expects it to be. And then what's the difference from them picking up the phone and talking to somebody else who's extremely transactional, where the interest rate or the process is marketed as being easier or significantly cheaper? We don't have the luxury of being transactional. We don't have the freedom to pick and choose who we want to be transactional with. Every one of our clients has been referred to us by somebody else, and we owe it to the person who referred them the best effort that we can to be that consultant, to be that negotiator, to be that manager of fears and expectations. And that requires us to realize that our clients need us to educate them and to help them understand why this process is so tough. And I don't agree, or I don't recommend that you wait until halfway through the process to tell them that it's tough. I think it's abundantly acceptable to tell a client that this process is not easy. We know how many signatures and paperwork and how many initials and how many people. It's over the top. And if you were to lay that out in front of a consumer, they'd be shocked. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yes.
If you put a list of 100 things, I've got one with that as 85 on it, but I'm sure it can be added to. But every time I put my list of 85 things that could go wrong in front of a client, they were shocked. And what do you think happened when I told them these are probably 85 reasons why at some point you're going to hate me? And I'm not saying that you have to say it like that. What I'm saying is it's imperative to set the stage before the relationship continues. From the moment you pick up the phone, you have to be more concerned, to Susan's point, with the relationship than you are about the transaction. Because if you have a relationship, what are you going to accomplish during the process besides just getting the stuff done?
you're going to insulate yourself against the borrower wanting to shop you. You're going to insulate yourself against all the other people that might be clamoring for their opportunities. And trust me, if you think nobody else is hitting on them while they're buying a house, you're crazy. But it's the connection that we have. And in my belief system, wrong or right, I believe that after my client met with me, they compared me to, they compared everyone else to me. I did not get compared to everyone else. They didn't hear what they heard from me with anybody else. They didn't get the consulting by anybody else. We run the risk of people using it against us. It's obvious, it happens. But at that moment, it's the relationship with the referral source that you're servicing. Doing what's right by the client doesn't always produce a paycheck, but it does always maintain that relationship with the referral source, which in all fairness is the reason why our businesses are going to continue to thrive and survive in the changing climates. And as Brennan and Susan, you guys take hold of this, you need to be abundantly clear as to why Dave and Ryan are at this point where they can have not only the time but the financials to support having you there. And you guys are probably amazing in your own right. And the reason you're on this call is because there's just little things that I want to teach you that will help them provide you with the best chance to flourish inside of their system. And it doesn't take much besides just the deliberate and intentional realization that every time you pick up the phone, they need to know that you care. And it's so much easier to do that when you start the very first conversation off by setting the stage. Does everybody hear what I'm saying? You guys follow me?
Yes.
Yep.
Brendan, what are you hearing me say, brother?
You lose them?
What's that?
I think we lost them.
Oh, we lose Brennan? Dave too? Dave, you there?
Still here?
Yep, we're still here.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. What I was saying, it's setting the expectations from the very beginning, the initial conversation. And like you spoke to of the airline pilot that, says, hey, we might experience, chances are we're going to experience some turbulence, but I've never crashed a plane. We're going to get through this together. And establishing that trust and, insulating yourself from, like you said, the borrower shopping around, or even if they do, if they're tempted, they're always coming back to, how does this compare to Dave Brown and his team?
Right. Exactly. And the cool part is when you begin to realize that this is the style that your consumer is attracted to, it makes you a lot more attractive to the listing agent. When you can have these conversations with your client and you can say them fluidly, imagine what the listing agent is going to feel when you pick up the phone and have that same conversation with them. Do you think a listing agent hears this from any lender that they work with?
Probably
and Susan,
not.
I don't mean to pick on you. Susan, I know you're probably, if Ryan has you on on his team, you are an A+ player without question. Do you think that a realtor hears more of what you typically do from other loan officers and other teams compared to what we're talking about? Do you think they hear more of what you typically say than they hear what we're talking about today?
Oh, absolutely not. They hear the way I do it, yes. Not the way
Yes.
that you want us, yes, or that you're teaching us
Right.
how to do it. Absolutely.
Right. The truth is that if you guys want to evolve into being more, whether it's income, whether it's freedom, whether it's management, whatever, it starts with really embracing this mindset. Because no matter what happens, this is the skill set that makes you the hunter. This is the skill set that the industry lacks so much. People talk about this business like they talk about used cars. They talk about the people that are in this business as if we're just tools, that anybody can do it. That's why they pay such a minimum wage to some people to do this job. But the reality of it is that the consumer will pay for a really good product if the value is perceived. There's a reason why if I go out to dinner tonight with my wife, I don't have a problem spending $150 on a really nice dinner for both of us. But if I walk into that restaurant and the ambiance is like a Ponderosa, or if I walk into the restaurant and the waiter and waitress are foul-mouthed or not very communicative or they don't make me feel special, then the experience of going through it makes me feel like I'm being overcharged. We're not a $150 restaurant. We are a competitive, very competitive arm of the finance world for our clients. But our value, we tend to not project onto our clients because we don't know what it is that they're asking of us. And I'm telling you right now, what they're asking of us is what Dave said. And it's also about a relationship. And you both are, you guys are now the key, you guys are the key factors to this. Dave and Ryan both are handing you guys over the keys to the car. And it's up to you to be intentional and deliberate in your dialogue and to practice it. And every week we'll get better, and every week we'll expand on it. And today, your homework assignment over the next week, every time you hear the word thank you, is thanks for noticing. Remember, Dave or Ryan and I are counting on you to refer us to somebody you care about. And you only say that statement when you know that the client believes you. And they believe you when you've provided them some value. Does everybody hear me when I say that?
Yeah.
When your clients and your realtors say thank you, your response, thanks for noticing, please remember, Dave and I count on people like you to refer us to the people they care about. And when you really step away from it, when you think about your role as being more than just checking off tasks, you begin to realize that every time you walk into your office, you get to pick and choose who you say that to. I always enjoyed it because it made my team infinitely more proactive. Every day when they came into the office, we had a daily team meeting, and every day their decision to make or break the team was narrowed down to something as simple as, why am I picking up the phone and calling this realtor today? Why do I want to call the borrower? Why would I want to sit here and wait for them to call me when I can call them first, and then I'm almost guaranteed to get a thank you? See, it elevates the reason why we're calling them to make it a much bigger purpose, and it gives you the excitement of going, well, if I got all this news to share, I'm going to pick up the phone and call them, or I'm going to give them the information, and then I'm going to use that to my advantage. See, it helps us pick up the pace, and it helps us learn to be more proactive in what, in other ways, is a very reactive business. How many realtors do you think appreciate the loan officer or the lending team being more proactive than they are? I've never had a realtor once tell me, stop being so proactive. Abe, Ryan, is that something that you think is a sellable trait to your business, that you're more proactive than some of the other entities that are in your market?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think nobody's going to object to being too proactive, there's no doubt.
Do you feel like most of the time realtors complain that they don't ever hear from the lender, that they're always having to call the lender?
Yes.
Okay, so when you block out your time to call your clients, to give them the Tuesday updates. The Tuesday update calls now provide you with a significant bigger purpose. So your reason to pick up the phone is to give them the update, but there's the bigger purpose. And it just makes the incentive to do it so much greater. You guys, this is going to be a blast. You guys are going to have so much fun with this. You guys are really, I can tell that both of you guys right now are taking it all in. And I know Dave and Ryan believe in this wholeheartedly, otherwise you guys wouldn't be on the call. I want you guys to role play this out with every conversation. The only way you're going to get comfortable and the only way you're going to get fluid is by practicing it on your clients. And this is the cool part about it. Nobody knows what perfect looks like. But the message that you're getting is the message that you have to send. It doesn't have to be in my words. It can be in yours. It can be in Dave's. It can be in Ryan's. It can be in Brennan's. It doesn't matter. It's just the act of sending the message. Say it in your own style. Keep practicing it. It'll get more fluid. But please have it with every client relationship that you start. Every new client that comes in the door, make a commitment that that has to happen. And then every client that's actively in the process now, find a way to drop the seed. Find a way to just make that connection. Find a way to go, listen, Ryan or Dave have probably not told you how vital your happiness with our process is. And I'm responsible to handle that process for Dave or Ryan. It's a very easy conversation to have with people even halfway through the process. All right, that's my 2 cents for the day.
Good stuff, Doug. We like it.
Thank
Susan has a page of a legal page of notes here.
Well, I'll send you guys out the recording.
Brendan's got 2 pages.
Look at that. All right, so hey, I sent out a text to Ryan last week, and I'm going to throw this out there. And Dave and Ryan, you guys don't have to put it out there on the call, but